I said I love you, Orion, and she waved at me. That was lovely. I just...
Do you know who I am?
There's a lot of big famous people here who are recognising me. I just got paparazzi'd looking like this. No! Wow. I'm in shock. The director of Wicked said my name and spoke to me. I'm gonna try and find the footage. I don't understand why, I just don't. Why am I doing this? I love you, you're nice. You're actually really nice to me, thank you. That was really nice to me. That was nice. I guess that might change.
Since the last time we covered Elphaba, things have somehow gotten worse, and that is saying something. At this point, every livestream is just her insulting her viewers, making bizarre claims, and blocking pretty much anyone who disagrees with her, or even asks a basic question at all.
Do I fucking scare you? Try me! You try me! I'm not going anywhere! Because I'm fed up to God of this shit! And yes, I'll tell the police I threatened her. Happily, in a fucking manic episode. So do it. Use that for your fucking stuff. Because you know what? I am done with everything. I am done with people trying to fucking find me as a target. I'm done with people calling me a pedo. Ain't it funny? You're finding this fucking hilarious, aren't you? You're finding this hilarious. No one gives a flying fuck about me. No one gives a fuck about me. Do they?
Despite being infamous for all the wrong reasons, Elphaba genuinely believes she is a celebrity, not internet famous, not niche TikTok known, an actual celebrity. She has gone as far as claiming that people like Ariana Grande recognize her.
But I said I love you, Orion, and she waved at me. That was lovely. I just...
Do you know who I am?
Where's the cease and desist now, darling? I'm sorry. Oh my god, there's like so many celebrities just coming in. I'm in a really fancy hotel right now.
Recently, a Wicked premiere took place in London. Celebrities were there, including Ariana Grande. Elphaba, who has a long-standing obsession with Wicked, also attended. She showed up dressed entirely in black, with her face painted green, essentially cosplaying the character Elphaba at a formal premiere. Now, when a 6-foot-tall giant turns up painted green, dressed strangely and acting erratically, people are going to stare. That is not fame. That is just how the human beings work. Elphaba, however, interpreted this exactly how you would expect. She claimed that people were so fixated on her that security had to get involved, framing the entire situation as proof of her importance rather than concern. But that was not enough. Elphaba then escalated the story to a whole new level by claiming that the director of Wicked personally said her name.
Wow. I'm in shock. The director of Wicked said my name and spoke to me. I'm gonna try and find the footage.
This is where it crosses from delusion into comedy. There is no universe where the director of one of the most successful stage productions of all time recognized a TikTok Lolcow best known for scamming people and having public meltdowns online. And even if the name Elphaba was said, it would obviously be referring to the character, not her. She also claimed that Ariana Grande waved directly at her. Once again, reality failed to cooperate. The venue was packed with thousands of people, and later footage showed Ariana waving in an entirely different direction. But in Elphaba's mind, every wave is personal and every glance is validation. But Elphaba's obsession with Wicked goes far deeper than this, and at times, it turns genuinely disturbing. Ever since she first saw the show back in 2012 when she was just 8 years old, Wicked has slowly consumed her identity. That fixation eventually reached the point where she legally changed her real name from Orion Doherty to Elphaba, one of the show's main characters. On the surface, this kind of obsession could be brushed off as passion, but as Elphaba's online reputation deteriorated, that passion started doing real damage. People who had never seen Wicked began associating the show with her behavior, her meltdowns, and her controversies. For many, Wicked became something they felt repulsed by, not because of the production itself, but because of Elphaba. That is exactly why the people behind Wicked eventually stepped in. Elphaba was warned to stop singing Defying Gravity on TikTok, and to stop associating her personal brand with the franchise altogether. Instead of reflecting, she responded the only way she knows how, with repeated public meltdowns. And even that was not the end of it. Elphaba has a documented history of stalking and harassing members of the Wicked cast and crew, both online and in person, whenever she gets the opportunity. This behavior became so persistent that she was eventually blocked by nearly all of them. The most deranged incident involves Laura Pick, a singer and actress who frequently performs as Elphaba in the UK. After one of her performances, Elphaba managed to meet her and take a selfie. Despite Elphaba's reputation as a known stalker, Laura was kind enough to briefly speak with her. That kindness was immediately exploited. Elphaba asked Laura to appear on her livestream. When Laura declined, Elphaba refused to accept the answer. She attempted to grab Laura's phone while forcing herself into a hug. At that moment, another cast member recognized Elphaba as the same obsessive individual they had already blocked across social media due to relentless disturbing messages. Security intervened and removed Elphaba from the venue. Despite being the clear aggressor, Elphaba later flipped the narrative, portraying herself as the victim and having a meltdown afterward.
That's not why I just don't. Why am I doing this? I love you, you're nice.
But even this is not the end of Elphaba's delusions. Somehow, it gets even more ridiculous. Recently, she accused someone of being obsessed with her simply because he followed her on TikTok, then escalated that claim further by calling it harassment.
I don't follow him. It says follow back. He's obsessed with me. Okay? That's it. That is it. I cut him off. He still follows me. That's it. Okay? So, it's technically harassment at this point. I've moved on from him.
The person Elphaba is referring to in this clip is Daryl, someone who is not a random viewer or stranger, but her real-life friend. That alone is notable, considering how few people are willing to associate with Elphaba offline. Daryl is a TikToker with around 34,000 followers, and also works in the adult film industry. While being publicly associated with Elphaba is essentially career poison for most people, Daryl stayed friends with her for over 2 years. Ironically, it was Elphaba herself who turned that friendship into public drama. She began discussing their private interactions on live streams, openly talking about being romantically attracted to him. This quickly spiraled into controversy, to the point where the two are now publicly talking about boxing each other.
Honest. She got like that in the face. But I'm a sweetheart, so I mean, and then there's also like self-defense like this. And then, you know, I mean, when it comes to it, my instincts do kick in. Your oyster card mysteriously run low. I will actually do it. I will. If it helps people.
After having his private life dragged across the internet by someone he considered a friend, Daryl chose to cut ties and move on. Elphaba, however, is not known for letting go quietly. Instead, she responded by launching a series of random and increasingly absurd accusations. Despite already being in the wrong, these claims somehow managed to make her look even worse. One of the first accusations she made was that Daryl was responsible for convincing her to take drugs. Aside from being a strange thing to say, it is also a textbook example of avoiding accountability. No one can force another adult to take substance without their consent, but deflection has always been one of Elphaba's strongest skills. She then claimed that Daryl following her on TikTok was proof of harassment and obsession, which is especially ironic considering everything else that has already been documented about her behavior. And just to add another layer of absurdity, Daryl is openly gay, meaning there was never any possibility of a romantic relationship in the first place, which makes Elphaba publicly declaring her interest in him and then framing him as obsessed even more ridiculous. It makes it even more hilarious the fact that all of this is coming from the same person who regularly claims that women hate her because she is too gorgeous and steals all their men.
I think they see me as competition. They might steal their man. It's okay, babe. I know. I have to try and make it a competition. Because I've already won. They're intimidated by my presence. Honestly. They're intimidated in some sort of way.
But the Daryl saga does not stop there. If anything, this is where it actually begins. Daryl has an ex named Charlie, who he has described as abusive. Elphaba, seemingly in an attempt to hurt Daryl, publicly stated that she does not believe Charlie was the abuser, and instead suggested that Daryl himself was. She claimed that Charlie was one of her closest friends, and that he would not hurt a fly, effectively implying that Daryl was lying about experiencing domestic abuse. This is an outrageous thing to say about a relationship she was never part of, and coming from someone who constantly talks about her own trauma and abusive experiences, the hypocrisy is impossible to ignore.
Daryl's in the most respectful way. I don't think he went through that. And that's just my opinion, okay? That's my opinion. Because I know Charlie. I know him. He can't even harm a fucking fly. Daryl's more likely to be more aggressive towards him because Charlie is tiny. I'm gonna say that right now. I don't give a fuck. Hate on me all you want. I will preach for someone's innocence, and Charlie's been wrongly accused of that. 100%. I don't care. Hate on me all you want.
After making such a serious accusation, you would expect some form of evidence. Instead, Elphaba admitted that she had none. Her justification for accusing Daryl of lying about abuse was simply her gut feeling. Nothing factual, nothing concrete, just vibes.
How can you judge if someone's lying? Well, this is a thing for me personally. My gut instinct and my intuition, and if I know the person, and if I know both people at once and this, that, and the other, like, yeah, to be wrongly accused of something like that, like, because Charlie, I know Charlie couldn't even hurt a fly. He couldn't hurt a fly for once, not at all.
Despite invalidating someone's domestic violence claims based on nothing but intuition, Elphaba repeatedly insisted during the same livestream that she is extremely supportive of people who share traumatic experiences in her chat. This claim immediately collapsed when she followed it up by dismissively telling people that nobody actually cares about their trauma.
Who cares? Move on. We'll go through shit. Boo fucking who? Come on, just block people, please. Can't be arsed. That's awful. I don't really care. I don't want sympathy or empathy. I don't care. We'll go through shit. Let's not compare traumas. No, don't compare traumas. Don't bring it onto my live stream and then say it out in front of thousands of people to get sympathy. And lie.
One of Elphaba's main justifications for her behavior was that Daryl discussed his abuse allegations involving Charlie on her livestream without previously disclosing them to her in private. She claimed this upset her because Charlie was also her friend. To be fair, airing deeply personal trauma on a livestream is rarely a good idea. However, the flaw in Elphaba's argument is obvious. She insists she has no place judging other people's trauma, yet had no issue making a definitive claim that Daryl was lying about his abuse. Viewers were understandably not impressed. The backlash during the livestream was immediate, eventually prompting Elphaba to issue what can only be described as a half-hearted apology. She did technically say the word sorry, but everything that followed completely undermined it. She never acknowledged that accusing someone of lying about domestic violence is vile. Instead, she repeated her original claims and quickly moved on. And in the most Elphaba response possible, she ultimately blamed everything she said on her autism and ADHD, a pattern that has already earned her significant backlash online, for repeatedly weaponizing diagnoses to avoid accountability.
I do not invalidate anyone's experiences. I just can say things quite wrong, and that is being looked into for my actual diagnosis with autism and ADHD, which I am going to be diagnosed with. We all know it. As much as people want to say you're undiagnosed, you're not ever going to be diagnosed, I am going to be diagnosed. It may take years.
As Elphaba herself admits in the clip I just showed you, this fake autism diagnosis saga is not new. It has been going on for years, likely more than 4. From the very beginning of her TikTok career back in 2020, this has been a recurring pattern. From day one, Elphaba was already known as an outright e-beggar. Her live streams revolved around farming sympathy from viewers in order to get money that she would then proceed to waste on Gucci bags, going to a nightclub, and as well as concerts. Early on, the excuses were basic: food, rent, survival, the usual. But over time, the narrative shifted. Elphaba began introducing autism into the picture, and this was not something she mentioned occasionally. It became a constant theme of her live streams. Every struggle, every failure, every criticism suddenly traced back to autism. According to her, she was professionally diagnosed and therefore beyond question. The problem is simple. Despite repeatedly claiming a professional diagnosis, Elphaba has never produced any proof. Not once. This immediately raised eyebrows. And for good reason, because the excuses she gave for avoiding proof only made things worse. At various points, Elphaba claimed that her obsession with Wicked was proof enough that she is autistic. At other times, she argued that other autistic people agreeing with her online was the same thing as a diagnosis. According to her logic, community validation somehow replaces medical evaluation. In other words, vibes over evidence. She cycled through excuse after excuse to explain why she could not show proof of her diagnosis, until those claims were eventually exposed as outright lies. And if this was not terrible enough, Elphaba also participated in a talent show meant exclusively for autistic people, alongside her friend who, unlike Elphaba, actually had a legitimate diagnosis. But autism is not the only disorder Elphaba has been exposed lying about over the years. There are several, with the most well-known being Tourette syndrome. Tourette's involves involuntary motor or vocal tics, and during one live stream, Elphaba suddenly began displaying tics in a way that felt extremely cringe and exaggerated. From that point on, she continued repeating the same act across multiple live streams, openly claiming she had Tourette's. Unsurprisingly, this worked in her favor when it came to sympathy and donations from viewers. That is, until an old Discord message surfaced where Elphaba openly admitted to faking Tourette's. I need pills that help me stop lying for fuck's sake. Sometimes I can't help lying, I don't know why. I didn't mock anything. I lied, yes, but I never mocked anything. People are now sending me threats and telling me that no one would care if I die. On top of that, one member of the Tourette's community called her out publicly, making this one of the rare moments where Elphaba actually faced consequences for her behavior.
Basically, I squeak and jitter uncontrollably sometimes. I've done it off live. My mum has seen it herself. And I asked the doctor, is this Tourette's? And they said they're not 100% sure, so they had to put me in, TalkWorks. It's a service. Let me show you.
Before you carry on, can I just say that no GP would have said they weren't sure about Tourette's, because you have to be 12 months having tics to be called Tourette's. So there's no way any GP will have said to you, we're not sure if that's Tourette's. If they thought you had tics, it would be a different story. But there's no way any GP said to you, yeah, we're not sure if that's Tourette's. It's just not, that's bollocks, mate. That's bollocks.
No, I was told this. I'm so sorry. I can show you my referral if you want to see.
I don't need to see referrals, the same as I wouldn't want anyone to ask for our referrals. But I do think that you really do need to reconsider the things that you share and the things that you say, because you are actually hurting a whole community of people in various ways. And time again, you're apologising for stuff and you're not meaning what you're saying.
And if faking mental health disorders was not bad enough, Elphaba has also recently faked the effects of antidepressants. In a recent TikTok livestream, Elphaba claimed she was depressed, something she says frequently. But this time she decided to take an antidepressant called sertraline live on stream. Sertraline is a medication prescribed for depression and anxiety, and it does not have any immediate effects. It typically takes 2 to 3 weeks before changes are noticeable. Despite this, Elphaba claimed that the medication instantly changed her mood, suddenly acting happy and excited just minutes after taking it, despite behaving completely differently moments earlier. She even went as far as claiming her pupils were dilated because of the medication, only for viewers to point out that there was no visible change at all.
They dilate. Yeah, I'm hydrated.
Now, placebo effects do exist, but the issue here is that Elphaba knew full well that sertraline would not have any immediate effect. This was not confusion. It was over-the-top acting. One of the most likely reasons she did this was to convince her audience that she was suddenly better, that the drama and meltdowns were over. That claim fell apart almost immediately as she would have yet another meltdown in that same livestream. As discussed earlier, Elphaba has spent years grifting off her supposed autism, a diagnosis she still has not proven even after 5 years. This time, however, the chat had enough and began spamming fake autism, which visibly upset Elphaba and triggered yet another meltdown. Instead of ending the livestream or disabling comments, Elphaba chose to call the police, claiming that the chat was triggering her to end her life. The irony here is that the chat wasn't even saying anything beyond calling out the fake autism claims, while Elphaba herself was the one openly insulting viewers, calling them dumb and stupid.
I'm currently eating sushi. Yeah, something triggered me. It was my live chat. Some of my live chat triggered me on TikTok. No, not right now. It's just when it happens in the moment, like I can like smash things up and I can actually get quite aggressive, but not towards people, more towards myself.
During the moment she claimed to be calling the police, the reflection on her phone screen appeared dark, raising suspicion that this entire stunt may have been staged to provoke a reaction and regain sympathy. Given Elphaba's long history of doing anything possible for views and money, the idea that she faked the interaction is not far-fetched. Despite all of this, Elphaba was not receiving much money from TikTok, which led to yet another meltdown in the following livestream. This time, she appeared to fake punching herself in a way that felt more like mockery than actual self-harm. As if to contradict her earlier claims about the antidepressant magically fixing everything, Elphaba later appeared in another livestream saying the absolute opposite. She showed up visibly unhygienic and disheveled, including not shaving her beard, which stands out given her constant insistence that she is a woman and a victim of transphobia. Instead of taking accountability, she blamed all of this on the antidepressant, the same one she had previously claimed cured her almost instantly on livestream. But not shaving her beard is not the only thing Elphaba has been ignoring when it comes to her so-called trans identity. The biggest thing she's avoided altogether is actually transitioning. For years, Elphaba has promised that she would medically transition. She even collected money during livestreams specifically for that purpose. Years later, there has been no progress toward any kind of transition, and no sign that she plans to refund the money either. This makes her constant claims of being harassed for being trans deeply hypocritical, considering she scammed people by using transitioning as the excuse. Regardless, Elphaba regularly presents herself as a victim of transphobia and uses that label as a shield to dodge accountability. But even that narrative falls apart and under the smallest amount of scrutiny. In one live stream alone, she repeatedly said her pronouns included they, them, only to contradict herself minutes later by saying she did not want those pronouns used at all. In other words, she cannot even keep her own pronouns consistent, while still accusing anyone who questions her of being transphobic.
So my pronouns are she, her, they, them. No, actually no, just she, her. She, her. I don't like they, them. She, her. She, her. But my pronouns are she, her, they, them. If you don't like that in my chat, then you are out. I don't deal with transphobic people. We don't give it time. We don't give it any sort of time. We don't tolerate discrimination.
By this point, it is already obvious that Elphaba is a dangerous presence on TikTok. Between the fake diagnosis and her long, well-documented pattern of predatory behavior, the warning signs are everywhere. Yet somehow she still insists that she is one of the best people. Her proof is surprisingly simple. She believes that owning a cat and claiming to take care of it automatically makes her a good person, a claim that should be taken with a very large grain of salt.
Seen clips of me in a flustered, frustrated, angry position. You haven't really seen the highlighted stuff where I've built my cat a cat tree. You know, I've treated like, oh, my baby. You know, I'm quite a soft person deep down. I'm not actually an evil person that people paint me out to be. But if you want to call me an evil person still after this, that's totally fine.
Elphaba constantly says her cat is her top priority and that she would do anything to keep it safe and comfortable. In reality, her actions show the exact opposite. She keeps the cat confined to a very small room. That space might be acceptable if the cat had freedom, stimulation, or regular care, but it does not. Instead, the cat spends most of its time locked inside this cramped room. The effects are visible on livestream. The cat appears stressed, restless, and has even been seen urinating on the floor during Elphaba's lives. This is not responsible pet ownership, it is neglect dressed up as love. Things get even worse when Elphaba openly admits she has not cleaned the litter tray for 2 days. That is unhealthy for any cat, but especially alarming when the animal's trapped in a single room with no escape from the smell of the filth.
Have I checked the litter tray? She might need to use it. Yeah, so this is what's the next thing, because I literally cleaned the litter tray out 2 days ago. So she's just due another clean out, really.
What makes this situation worse is her attitude. She mentions the 2-day lapse casually, as if it is normal or acceptable. The chat immediately calls her out, and only then does she agree to buy another litter tray. Not out of concern, not out of responsibility, but because she is embarrassed and being pressured by viewers. And this lack of care is not limited to the cat. Elphaba is also notoriously careless with her own hygiene. Anyone who has watched her for more than a few minutes would notice it, but the extent of it is genuinely shocking. The level of neglect goes far beyond being messy or lazy. It is consistent and impossible to ignore. Even her own mother has called her out on livestream for not showering and keeping the house filthy, but that still wasn't enough to change anything. Elphaba went weeks without washing her hair, to the point where a spider was literally caught crawling through it on livestream. Now you might think this was just a one-off or an unlucky coincidence, that nobody could realistically be that unhygienic. But you would be wrong. This was not the only time Elphaba was exposed for having things living in her hair. In another live stream, lice were visibly spotted while she was alive.
What the fuck? I have lice in my hair? I've just seen a video. What? Ugh. Oh, that's disgusting. Where the fuck did I get that from? Oh, that is disgusting. Ew. It's nothing to be ashamed of, but that is grim. I'm gonna go for a shower and shave all my hair off.
At one point, Elphaba also admitted to wearing the same clothes for nearly a month without showering or washing them. Unsurprisingly, this eventually caught up with her and she ended up getting scabies. But instead of getting proper treatment, Elphaba once again turned it into a sympathy grab. She went as far as claiming she could be at risk of skin cancer simply because she had scabies and acne on her back, something that is completely untrue. While the obvious explanation here is laziness and a refusal to do basic things like showering or washing clothes, Elphaba disagrees. According to her, none of this is her fault. She claims her poor hygiene is entirely due to ADHD, autism, and depression, and that she bears no responsibility at all. That would already be a wild claim even if those diagnoses were legitimate. Coming from someone who has repeatedly been exposed for lying about them, it becomes even harder to take seriously. And when you step back, the pattern becomes impossible to miss. Each situation starts the same way: a bold claim, a push for sympathy, then pushback, followed immediately by a new label to shut the criticism down. Nothing ever actually improves. At this point, it's not people misunderstanding Elphaba or treating her unfairly. It's a cycle she keeps reinforcing, while everyone else gets blamed for the mess left behind. And unfortunately for the world, this cycle is not going away anytime soon. If anything, it is almost guaranteed that there will be more meltdowns and more backlash in the near future. And when that happens, we will cover it. But for now, let me know in the comments which one of Elphaba's actions crossed the line for you the most.